Yeah, that makes the core Pango maybe a little bit less likely. They could still run it for Sexy Fat in that off lane. But my thing about this lineup right now for FG, Queen of Pain, Snap, Nyx, Pango, you, as of right now, don't have a fantastic frontline hero. If it's the Pangolier, then he does have to be a core, and you slot him into that off lane position. Otherwise, they've got a lot of setup, but maybe not a lot of durability. It's going to be short fights for them, in and out sort of tactics. Otherwise, I mean, you look at D2 Hustlers, they've got heroes like Gyrocopter and Tiny who are going to be able to hit back just as hard, if not harder, in a more drawn-out engagement.
And I'm very surprised they actually didn't pick their safe laner here on FG. I understand they wanted to pick up Sooth's hero before it possibly got closed out, but this Quap versus Tiny matchup, while it shouldn't be that good for the Tiny, of course you might need to invest slightly more in regen because of how efficient Dagger is at those trades. I really don't like this pickup. Of course, once you get Blink Dagger on Tiny, this lineup turns really solid. It feels like now the Queen of Pain is yet another target for you to pick off if you're the D2 Hustler side, where you're still looking for really that frontliner hero, which now needs to come from your safe laner, one that would have been a perfect pickup in the Void, but that's where D2 Hustlers are right on the money when it comes with their second phase bans. So now their lineup is really high skill. You need to get away with the early game, and that's where, what do you decide for your heroes position wise? Because if this does end up being a 5 Pango, that means you have either an off lane Snapfire and a 4 Nyx, or you could reverse the roles a little bit here, possibly put that as a 5 Nyx, an off lane Snapfire, and a 4 Pango, or reverse the roles in that way where it's an off lane Pango and a 4 Snapfire. It just feels like no matter what lane they go up against, I think Yuma is going to be happy with it. And that's where it does always come back to the mids rotations. What is Sooth's going to be able to do, especially versus a lane that he should, on paper, wipe the floor with? But I'm really hesitant to say that this Quap is going to work out nearly as nicely as I think they will, because again, you're playing into Tiny. It takes one blink and then you're immediately punished, especially if D2 Hustlers are able to pick up a hero like the Spectre. I feel like we could see a very similar game where as soon as that Queen of Pain blinks in, especially at those early levels, you immediately get haunted upon, you immediately get preyed upon by the very active heroes on the D2 Hustlers side, and then the game looks really miserable for this Queen of Pain, something that you can't really afford when you pick it up.
Yeah, the Queen of Pain, very much sort of a snowball-y momentum based kind of hero. So FG hoping that they can get Zeus off to that strong start, but with so much on the other side to potentially limit what she can do, okay, you're looking at some other heroes to maybe get the job done. As FG pick up the sniper, that does not really fix my concern earlier with the lack of durability. Sniper is really only good if he can sort of stay well out of arm's reach of the D2 Hustlers lineup, and I don't know. You look at the heroes they got the Tiny and the Earth Spirit. I don't know if that sniper is going to be able to guarantee that distance to actually do his damage.
Yeah, and for a second there, I thought it was a deny pick from Yuma, just a little bit here, but at the same time, I also think, why would you pick Sniper into Nyx Assassin? I don't think D2 Hustlers were necessarily looking at it in the first place, and of course, Safe Lane Sniper is getting a little bit more speed, especially popularity over in the CIS region, but still at the same time, you are razor thin. If your team fights ever fail, especially in that 15 to 20 minute mark, you're going to die, and yeah, they pick Spectre in a perfect Spectre game. I really don't like it. I really don't like this.
So easy to pick up that Spectre, and yeah, now, said before, didn't know if the sniper could keep that distance. Now he straight up can't. The Haunt's going to get Yuma directly on top, and if Yuma goes for that build we've been seeing from the Spectre with that early Aghanim Scepter, you don't even necessarily need the Haunt itself. The Shadow Step can do the job, and what does Mandy do? If the Spectre's on him in the first couple of seconds of that fight, he's going to have to rely so heavily really on the supports to bail him out, and I'm not really sure that's the way you want any fight to get started.
Yeah, and I think they pick this sniper really steadfast in the belief that Yuma is going to pick this gyrocopter, because of course when it comes to those matchups, it always is the question of, can you outrange the gyro, can you kite him out, can you make the play versus him? But in a game where D2 Hustlers were never forced to go for a hero like the core gyro or the core Medusa, I feel like this is a really big overestimation of the sniper's strength. I really don't think he's going to have a good time. And in a pro game as well, playing Spectre versus Sniper is just, it doesn't happen. You don't do it. You ban it out and then you play for that avenue. It feels like now, if FG are not picture perfect every single time Hunt is unavailable, they are going to fall so far behind. Their lineup is not adept at dealing with the Hunt in the first place, but now you have everything in this Sniper camp. It really feels like a pretty big misstep for them, but that's where if they can find those punishes whenever you are going to see D2 Hustlers without the Haunt, maybe they could snowball their lanes here, especially with the core Pango, something we've seen happen many times before, but I'm really scared for them because this is something that D2 Hustlers have done in all of their series so far. They pick a lineup that wins after 40 minutes, and then they get to 40 minutes, and it feels like that same strategy here.
Yeah, FG feels like a bit of a risk, and you mentioned for D2 Hustlers a lineup that can reach that timing and then win the game, but if the likes of the Queen of Pain don't get off to a strong start, if the Sniper is maybe a little bit behind on his farming, then all of a sudden that 40 minutes could turn into 30, right? They could get a little bit further ahead on their own timetable just because the opposing lineup took that risk. So we saw that, I believe, in the second game of our first series. An up-tempo style was attempted by Hikori and didn't really work out. This is maybe not quite to the same degree, but I feel like the same threat is still going to be looming on that FG side. We'll see how they deal with it, and we'll see if the risk potentially pays dividends for them, but it's not going to be easy for them by any means.
Yeah, and I kind of understand the draft maybe in the sense where we just played a 60-minute game, let's play something a little bit fast and loose here, but I also don't really understand why they would pick it knowing what was still in the pool. I feel like that's something that once you get as good as Dota as these players are, it's an oversight that shouldn't really happen, but okay. Thank you, Mr. Jeans. But that's also where maybe they're saying on the FG side, we can play around the fact that D2 Hustlers don't have the best tower push in their safe laner if they do go for the Spectre, but that's where I feel like that issue is immediately cured up by the fact that there's going to be a Tiny in the game, where you do have a little bit more physical damage coming from that mid laner. I don't know. If FG don't run away with their lanes, I feel like this lane, or rather this early game, is going to be a complete disaster for them. And that's also where you're playing into off-lane Dawnbreaker, where Monster's done this several times. At least early on, he really knows how to leverage this hero, especially with those early skill points. It does feel like it is one of the strongest early game heroes, especially when you can get your levels as fast as Monster is able to, as well as your laning versus a Sniper, who of course is mildly annoying, but if you're ever caught out up in the wave, you have no recourse. You're playing versus an Earth Spirit, no less. I really feel like the rest of the lineup is also good at getting onto Sniper, so this really doesn't make sense to me. It's a big question mark in my head.
And I think, honestly, the fact that you have so many questions with this lineup sort of tells you just how risky it is. There's so many things where it's not even why would you do this, quote unquote. It's more of, will you get what you need from this to even theoretically make it work? So lots of question marks for FG. If it all works out, though, they're going to look like geniuses, but a lot of ifs, a lot of can they this, will they be able to do that, etc., etc. So we'll have to see if they can pull it off as we do get the laning stage underway, and well, interested to see how much aggression comes out from this duo. Sexy Fat and King RD, they can make this work really at level 2. They could just go straight in with the Shield Crash and the Swashbuckle combined up with Scatterblast Cookie combo, so might want to be a little bit careful on the D2 Hustler side, but they're actually going just as hard themselves. Yodomi, with that level 1 homing missile, going back to the old infamous strats, with this position 5 Gyrocopter that just plays insanely aggressive in the lane, so we'll see if it has the same effect that it did sort of back in previous patches, but Yodomi's just trying to make life a little bit better for Yuma here in the early stages.
Yep, and despite how good of a spell it is, and unfortunately for Yuma, he missed both of those last hits. That is kind of unlucky with the dagger. But same spell. It, despite being as efficient and as value as a lot of teams have gone for, it is unchanged coming to 730C. So it's going to continue to have this very small niche in the 5 position, I think. It's just really easy to put homing missile on a hero. You have to now play around the fact that you're getting missile. Cool. Bottom. Yep.
Damage was there in the top lane, but bot is where the actual maneuver happens. Monster hits level 2. That exact timing we see so often from the Dawnbreaker. They go in for first blood. Yodomi, though, yeah, up in the top lane. Getting a lot of time from that salve. Sexy Fat, he just doesn't have the swashbuckle. The shield crash was still on cooldown as well, so Gyro's actually going to get the full duration on that salve. That is a very efficient play from him to escape from that potential kill that would have tied things up. So instead, it's just D2 Hustler striking first, and they struck onto the sniper. Now they're actually putting some pressure onto Duster. Not sure if they can get this kill, though. Devi, yeah, he's going to get stunned up, but don't go too far here, Duster. A turnaround roll. Monster is in position. And yeah, Duster's not going to take too many risks there, falling back. And really, that's going to be the name of the game here. Duster can maybe make some plays, but not if that's going to come at the expense of the sniper that he's trying to create space for, as right on cue, Duster does get hit up. Can Devi get him? No. Doesn't have the damage himself, and the roll is way too long of a cooldown for him to go again.
Yeah, and Devi, a player who really values the early earn over any oov, so it's not like he has that slow on hit, so it's very difficult for him to actually track down the Nyx Assassin. Don't think he needs to change up his build either. It's just a different playstyle you could go for, but this does mean that he is out of regen right now. He actually has to wait even further for that earn completion, but that's where once these couriers actually arrive in the bottom lane for the D2 side, they've got a lot of power here. I think it's the full soul ring coming out and some more salves, and Devi, yeah, he's pretty low.
He's going to try to roll away, and he does actually make it out, so well played on his part. Monster, meanwhile, needs 1 or 2 more hits to get onto Mandy, but Duster is going to be there to prevent him from making that happen. Now he turns around with the Impale. Monster, you got to be careful. There's no heal coming out, no point in the Luminosity, but Duster's not going to be able to get that done by himself, and Mandy just wanted to back away. But while all of that went down, they did end up losing the gyrocopter elsewhere on the map. Sexy Fat was able to get himself that kill, so they keep their heroes alive down bot. They find a kill up top, and that is largely going to even things back up here, although, well, Mandy is starting to sort of maybe get into a little bit of a groove farming-wise down bot, so that is something for them to keep an eye on. As Devi, ooh. Well, even if that connects, it's level 1. I don't think it was going to be enough damage, but now Devi, where's his backup? Monster's not in the lane. Devi might just die here. He has no roll for a few more seconds, and that was very awkward. That's just a free kill for Mandy.
Yeah, that is really strange, honestly. As experienced as he is on the hero, I really think he needed to back off way harder after that roll, and of course, Monster is back in the lane, so he's able to take up all the XP from the creep wave, even snipes out the large satyr from that camp, but you really don't want to be giving away deaths like that, especially because now you have to do this long walk. You're not able to really efficiently play around the fact that you can refill your mid's bottle, you can bring some more resources down to Monster. Instead, you're just kind of out of the game for a little bit here. Of course, soul XP to the Dawnbreaker, something that you always have to be very concerned with, but definitely not ideal.
Just, I don't know, that play, even if he does make the connection, I don't know if he had the damage. Speaking of damage, though, Mr. Jean certainly has enough in the middle lane with the help of Devi Lama, so, well, first attempt in the bottom lane goes a little bit awry, but Devi is able to respawn, TP's mid, and helps get his mid laner a big kill on to that Queen of Pain. That came just as that Queen of Pain was trying to hit level 6 as well, so that's going to delay, a little bit at least, a potential rotation with that Sonic Wave.
Yeah, and that was a lane that, until that point, Sooths was pulling ahead really heavily. There's not much that Mr. Jeans can do to contest creeps on the Queen of Pain's high ground, so you were seeing her definitely pull ahead a little bit, at least in denies, but that's also where one rotation makes it really difficult, and they get him bottom.
Mandy can't get away.
Yeah, you don't want to do this. You don't want to lane bottom after Monster gets this many levels, especially in the Celestial Hammer, and We're seeing again,
Ooh.
Duster trying to play.
Roll.
Oh, does Devi got him? Got him.
Mm-hmm.
Even kicks him. So tight from Devi.
No. Monster can't get it himself, but Devi's able to make it happen. Monster, meanwhile, jumping away, headed to the middle lane to get onto Suits. Do they actually have the kill, though? Not yet. Blink is there, turns around for the Sonic Wave. That takes down Yodomi. But he still needs to get himself out of here. No TP for 30, but it looks like Monster and Mr. Jeans going for the kill that they know was right in front of them. They'll take down King RD. That buys the time for the Queen of Pain to get away, but, well, that's still going to be a pretty solid trade-off overall. They take down the Nyx Assassin. They're able to get themselves mid, although Devi, well, he's in a little bit of trouble now. Just not able to move. He gets continuously hit up. Was able to get out of the shrapnel with the right clicks themselves. Will get Sniper the kill.
Yeah, and they do need to worry about giving too many kills over to the Sniper, especially when Monster is out of the lane, and it has taken a while for him to actually reset himself, but that's also where you have to be so cautious on the Queen of Pain. If Suits ever commits like he did there, Monster was very close to actually being able to stun him up for another tiny combo, and then your Queen of Pain is now free food. It's that same BKB timing where if you can get the BKB versus the Dawnbreaker, she feels incredibly misplaced whenever you try to go on those heroes for the chain stun. But if you don't have it, it does feel like you have to play, again, the map completely differently, something that is still catching teams pretty heavily off guard. I think they also are playing around the strength of whenever Monster does put that Celestial Hammer on the ground, it's very easy for Duster to get the disconnect with the Carapace. It's something that Monster needs to be really cautious about when he does show himself in the waves as aggressively as he has been, but that's also where Duster plays such a crucial role for his teammates sitting behind them, especially once he gets level 6 here. He really is going to be the early warning for a lot of these rotations where, well,
Yuma haunts in. Monster's here to help out. Mandy, he's just trying to get a little bit farmer in the jungle, but...
ooh. Creeps.
Yeah, that's okay. Bit of good fortune for Mandy. I mean, obviously he would have preferred not to die, but if you do have to go down, at least you're not giving up the gold to the other side. But Suits stunned up. He was trying to get himself away with the blink. Doesn't get out in time, though, so he dies. King RD gonna get picked off as well. Monster with the first kill, Yuma with the second. Now they're onto the tower, and Duster, well, I mean, he can cancel this TP and get the kill, so there's your consolation prize, but they're still going to have to defend this tier 1 tower because it is taking some serious damage. But now the TP from Sniper will get Mandy into the fight. You see the Pangolier coming over as well, but by the time that TP completes, they've already lost Duster. This fight's getting a little awkward, but Sexy Fat, okay, he's in there looking for Mr. Jeans. They will be able to find that kill, and I think now some of those TPs are a little unnecessary, but they find the kills, they save the tower. That's going to be the big play for them. It just... well, I was going to say it would have been nice if the Sniper hadn't died, but honestly, yeah, he dies, but dies to neutrals, so really they don't lose much there.
Yeah, it's a slight overextension, and yeah, Monster was a little bit crazy for staying in the mid wave as long.
Shadow Strike DOT.
Devi's going to need to deny him, I think. Oh, maybe. Oh. No, he's fine now.
Wow.
Good play from Devi.
Heals him in between the ticks with the urn, and Monster will live. Okay. So.
Top.
Yeah, what can they get here? That missile's coming in. It hits onto Sexy Fat. That leaves King RD exposed, but no toss. Out from the Tiny. Now Mr. Jeans, he's going to get stunned up. Mandy's knocking him back there with the right clicks as well, and this Tiny has nothing. His teammate just backs off. Yodomi would not have been able to save him anyway, so definitely in his best interest to get away, but that is a bit of aggression that just massively backfires for D2 Hustlers.
Yeah, Mr. Jeans needed to give up on that play way sooner, and I'm surprised he isn't focusing on his Blink Dagger a little bit more here. He would have had a 9-10 minute timing if he buckled down and just decided to farm the jungle for a little bit, but instead they're definitely losing their timing a little bit more here, a timing that's very crucial for them, especially with defending these towers where I don't think we're going to see this top tower defend, and I think we might just see it traded out instead, even though they could very easily make another Solar Guardian play, but it's just Mr. Jeans giving up a little bit too much of the map, I think.
Yeah, Mandy's just going to hack away at it. Meanwhile, well, you see Devi and Yodomi, they're kind of making their way over. They briefly spotted Duster with the sentry. Now they'll see him again, but this is actually not good for them. They go from hunting to being hunted, but Monster's able to come in with that Solar Guardian. They're hoping to turn it around. Sexy Fat will fall. Yodomi does die as well, but now the Mortimer Kisses are going to really break this one up. Devi is the one dropping low. He will fall. And, okay, Seuss, he wants in. Monster dropped low. Does he have the Sonic Wave? No, he does not. And the Assassinate at level 1 isn't going to be enough damage, so Monster should live, but Seuss is pushing forward like he wanted to try again, but not actually going to pull the trigger on that. So at the end of the day, Sexy Fat goes down, but they get 2 kills onto those supports, they force out the Solar Guardian, and they got the tier 1 tower to start swinging some momentum their way.
And unfortunately for Suits, his build is a little bit psycho here. He has max Shadow Strike. He's got 1 point in Scream of Pain at level 8. That is really bad, especially because you are not able to farm anymore. And at the same time, well, there you go.
Yuma making the jump in. Quick and easy kill onto Mandy. So, I mean, this is what we talked about. This is the threat of the sniper into that Spectre matchup. Anytime you're alone, they're going to make that jump. They're going to pounce in. Speaking of which, Devi, up to the ramp. He's in trouble. Mr. Jeans, though, with the Blink Dagger could help out. And yeah, I think FG's kind of realizing that, suspecting that the Tiny's in the area. They do back away, but they're still going to lose one. Duster gets picked off. Monster gets the kill. And now we're starting to see that aggression from the D2 Hustlers side. That Blink Dagger is finished. The Haunt is not going to be up very quickly, but still got it. Although it is worth noting at this point, for Yuma, this is not the Aghanim Scepter build. He's gone for the Echo Saber early, so without that Shadow Step, he may be a little bit less involved than what we saw from Mandy in the previous game, and that may mean they have to lean a little bit more on the Tiny to be the one making these plays, but right now the plays being made mid. Devi, though, breaks that up with a good 2-man silence. Unfortunately, it does still cost him his life, but it creates an opportunity, or maybe not. Mr. Jeans doesn't have the damage to finish the job. Now Sexy Fat's coming in. Rolling Thunder will be there. Shrapnel's getting thrown down for the slow into the Shadow Strike. That's going to force Monster to jump in, or maybe not. Doesn't actually make it. And Mr. Jeans ends up going down, and Monster... maybe that was for the best. I don't know if he would have saved his Tiny, and you would have been in the middle of about 4 or 5 heroes with no real help coming from anyone outside of a position 5 gyro. So, cut their losses, but the losses are pretty significant. That's the tier 1 tower taken mid off the back of those kills. Map control might become an issue moving forward with the tier 1s gone both mid and top.
Yeah, and I think it's a play made where you think you can burst out the Pangolier if you get him before the shield crash, but a 1-man shield crash actually takes away a lot of the damage coming from that tree toss. If you aren't killing him purely off of your Avatos damage, then he is just going to survive, and Sexy Fat gets to immediately go for that roll on him. A play that was definitely unnecessary. Mr. Jeans has done 1 or 2 of those now where he's definitely trying to force the issue when he doesn't need to, and he's been punished for it pretty routinely here from FG. And they are doing exactly what they need to do every single time that Haunt is down. It is a timer. It is where they can actually make plays on the map. You feel like Mandy can actually walk up to buildings, and they've gotten structures whenever that Haunt has already been committed. The problem is that not even when there are people behind him, every time that Haunt is available, D2 Hustlers look for that play. And that's where there might be a point of critical mass where we can't take it anymore. You get to that stage of the game where the kill timer is a little bit too long, and spending a 140-second cooldown ability is going to be worth taking a sniper out for 80 seconds. Right now, though, it is just what you have to deal with if you're the sniper, especially while you're waiting for some more defensive items coming out from everyone on your side. I like that Sexy Fat, instead of going for the immediate Blink Dagger, is trying to get a mech up, because that is how this game is going to go. It is really going to be based around whether or not those early team fights go your way, and I think an item like mech perfectly slots into that early timing, where maybe you can really survive one of those early haunts and get your sniper out of dodge. I think that's going to be really crucial for them. If this sniper can get a few items under his belt, I can definitely see the sniper pulling something out of his hat. But until that point, it really is going to be how good is FG's defensive game around protecting Mandy.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, you mentioned Sexy Fat with the mech build up. King RD has queued himself up a Glimmer Cape. So, well, these defensive items could help. Maybe Duster, nothing queued up at the moment, but a Glimmer from him, a Force Staff, really anything of that nature to just get the sniper out, reposition him, have him avoid that initial burst, and then at that point you get to choose. Do you go back in? Do you now try to take the fight, or do you just back out with your cores and look for a different opportunity? So trying to avoid that sort of initial burst damage from D2 Hustlers coming in. going to be paramount for them. Although right now what's paramount is getting Mandy back in. Still DC'd, unfortunately. So we had some issues the last time around. It was Seuss who they needed to get an emergency stand-in for. Hoping we do not have a similar situation, because last time the game was remade because we were so early in. This time, 13 minutes around, it is far less likely that the admin decides to be that generous with a remake. But they've still got plenty of time. They're full pause time now, as opposed to that last game where they only had 30 seconds because of the remake. So they can afford to wait this one out, and hopefully Mandy can get back in so we can see just how successful they are at defending this sniper.
Yeah, and I think to that same degree, it is going to be a game of whether D2 Hustlers can get on top of that sniper, something that it always boils down to once you get into the thick of it. Fortunately for them, they've got some of the best heroes in the game of getting onto him, so I'm sure they're not too concerned of it as of right now. I do think Mr. Jeans does need to check himself a little bit. It's much easier for him to make plays when you either have the Solar Guardian or the Haunt to back him up. So I think him going into the 5-man of FG, what it feels like, both times he's died so far has been because of them just getting grouped up and him not knowing about it, but it's a pretty easy fix for him.
Yeah, just, you want to be aggressive, but not reckless, I think we should say. As Seuss says go, okay, there we go, because he knew Mandy was coming back in, hadn't quite reconnected when he said, but we do have the sniper back into the game. Yodomi, though, says they need a second on the D2 Hustlers side, so we may not be entirely clear, but we got Mandy back in. That is the biggest obstacle that we can now overcome, and once D2 Hustlers are ready to go, we should be getting back into it. But sniper back in, and for Mandy himself, he is just about done now with the Ogre Axe to finish off this Dragonlance. So the stats are going to be nice. The increased attack range can maybe keep him, obviously not away from the Spectre. That's not how Haunt works, but at least away from some of the other heroes. If he can put himself at the outer edge of something like the roll distance or the blink from the Tiny, then who knows, maybe D2 Hustlers whiff, and all of a sudden, if your Tiny blinks in to too many heroes, as we quite literally just saw a few moments ago, then opportunities open up. So Mandy needs to be able to maintain that distance, and that item is certainly going to help.
Yeah, that's where the team fights do become pretty interesting for both sides. It is always going to be a battle of getting onto the sniper, but that's where if Mandy, after his Maelstrom, that's what he has queued up, if he's able to get items like the BKB and the Satanic, you actually see snipers nowadays able to fight pretty easily into a lot of these lineups. You get the 100% headshot chance whenever you get to take that take aim. You sit there and you start firing away at the Spectre, and that's where pace really becomes the difference maker. Something that unfortunately Yuma is not going to let you have, because he's going for this very popular build, the Ame build on Spectre, where he is already only 2 components away from the Aghanim Scepter, and that's where the plays become a constant threat instead of just playing around the Haunt cooldown. That's
interesting. Yeah. A little bit before the pause, yeah, mentioned Yuma had gone for the Echo Saber first. I thought that meant he was kind of skipping over the Aghanim Scepter, but he is still going for it, just not quite the first item rush. As King RD, yeah, gonna get himself caught out down bot. Devi and Mr. Jean's able to push in. Yodomi, with the homing missile, provides the extra bit of lockdown, and now, uh-oh, Mandy. They're gonna go for it. There's the roll in. The homing missile's been applied. Do they go for the kickback? No, they'll get the slow instead into the call down. And actually, Mr. Jeans, there we go. No, there we don't go. He doesn't have it yet. Now he has it. Avalanche comes through, but Devi, honestly, I don't think he needed to die there. If they were a little bit faster bringing Mr. Jeans over, then you make that play much more cleanly and you can get out with everybody. But even without that being the case, you managed to pick off King RD, then the sniper. You only really have to sacrifice your support.
And I'm surprised that FG don't make the call a little bit sooner. I understand that there's an observer ward placed on a sentry right now, but it also feels like that play doesn't happen if Duster is the one blocking for his teammate, being the living ward for a little bit there. It's an unfortunate circumstance because, again, every death that Mandy eats, and there are going to be many, it still doesn't feel like you want to be giving your opponents any leverage over you, especially when you're playing at such a disadvantage in the matchup. I really think you need to have players sitting in front of you or somebody behind you, whether or not that's going to be your Pango, which does finally have that mech. I think still like it a lot from Sexy Fat, being able to help out Mandy whenever he can. But that play being made, you committed so little from the Hustler side. I can very realistically see Mandy being under threat in just a few moments here because you have Haunt Solar Guardian. I can't imagine D2 Hustlers are going to sit on their hands while their ultimates are available to them. And I'm a little bit surprised that they're actually splitting up as much as they are. I think they're waiting for that big opportunity and playing into FG a little bit right now.
And Yudomi wanders up the ramp, going to get himself picked off. Yuma, he's got the ult, but doesn't have the mana for it right now. So either needs something along the lines of a Clarity brought out to him, or he'll have to go back to the base. But even if he does either one of those two things, as you mentioned, there's a lot of heroes spread out across the map for D2 Hustlers. So they're just, as of right now, looking like they're kind of content to farm, but I'm not really sure that's the way that you want to play this one out. That aggression needs to be a consistent factor for them to really keep the likes of the Sniper and the Queen of Pain from getting out of hand.
And, alright, again, yeah, completely split off, picked off. Give it to Sniper?
Yep.
Okay.
Living up to his name as Mandy snipes out the kill with the Assassinate, and well, now we do see a play mid. Mr. Jeans is coming in. They're looking for Seuss, but they don't have the damage. He's able to jump away, and now well, this fight gets a little bit weird. It is time for D2 Hustlers to try and back off, but Sexy Fat and Dust are on the back line, setting up onto Monster. There's going to be Mandy sniping out another kill from long range, and able to get that one onto Yudomi as well underneath the tower. D2 Hustlers, they gotta get it together a little bit here. That is multiple plays that have sort of been broken up, and it's going to lead their opponents directly into the Roche pit.
Yeah, I really don't understand what D2 Hustlers are doing. They have their ultimates, they have the Solar Guardian, they even have Haunt. Of course, you did just reset your Spectre there, went back into the base, but all it takes is a TP scroll, and then you can Haunt out of Fountain, and you're right back into the thick of it. But now, this is worst case scenario.
Okay.
If the Sniper gets Aegis, they're fighting.
They know now, but do they make a move? Yuma hasn't jumped to any of those illusions, so the Haunt was deployed. It doesn't really do a whole lot, and now, I mean, Seuss is kind of acting as the goalie here, but Mr. Jeans somehow slips through, gets off the Avatos, takes down King RD, but his HP is dangerously low, and there's going to be the Sonic Wave deployed. Mr. Jeans dropping low. Can he get away? No, he cannot. They'll finish him off. Now they want Yuma as well, trying to hide out inside of the pit. Going to be taken down, and before Roshan dies, but Mandy, well, he is going to go down as well. He actually died to Roshan, so that's 2 deaths now that have not gone directly over to D2 Hustlers. 1 to the neutrals, 1 to Roshan, but well, without Mandy, I don't know if they can take Roche. So instead, they're going to look for the fights, and they've got it, yeah. Yudomi. Okay, call down is going to come out. Bit of a desperation attempt, and not enough. He will still fall. Seuss gets the kill. And if you're D2 Hustlers, you have prevented the Roche attempt, so one of your missions gets accomplished there, but you have to give up so much to make that play happen that I'm not really sure if that was fully worth it. The Sniper's back up in about 5 seconds. They could go back in, although well, they'd have to do so without Duster. He's getting jumped in on. Can they actually finish him off? No. Impale comes through. There's going to be the mech. Sexy Fat pushing forward with the shield crash into the Mortimer Kisses. No kills yet, but all these heroes now have to back off, and Seuss is looking for the fight. But Monster, he's able to throw down that Solar Guardian. It's going to be enough to sort of dissuade them momentarily, but Seuss still wants it. He's going to push his way forward, but at this point, he is very low on mana. His teammate's able to sort of top him off there, and that should be enough to get Monster down. As Mandy, wow, Mandy just crazy long range there for the kill. Now he'll go after Roshan, but well, I was going to say maybe D2 Hustlers could try to contest it, and they actually are going to attempt to, but Mr. Jeans needs to wait a few seconds for that Blink Dagger to come back up, and while he's waiting, Roshan goes down.
Yeah, that is really well played from FG. They get to force their opponents into the exact position they want. They play around the fact that we have geared ourselves into this defensive position. We have so many defensive items that your burst isn't coming through from any of your heroes just yet, and they get exactly what they want. Now, the game is completely different. Mandy with an Aegis is a completely different beast than a Sniper who is going to fall prey to every single haunt, because now you can't afford to just haunt onto a Sniper. You take the Aegis out of his hands, he doesn't care.
Mr. Jeans, no, he's getting jumped in on. Able to fire back with the Avatos. The haunt now comes through as well, but the Sonic Wave will be deployed. Mr. Jeans dropped low, taken down. And Yuma Well, it wasn't the haunt he used, it was only the shadow step, so that's not that big a deal, but fact is, he still doesn't jump in to help his teammates. That means Yodomi is left there alone, as a trio of heroes on the opposing side will bring him down, and you're starting to see a little bit more confidence now if in FG in terms of how they're taking these fights.
Yeah, and they've taken the snowbally lineup that they were meant to win with, at least early on, and they're doing exactly that. I think that Roche play is honestly a stroke of genius from their players, actually forcing their opponents to fight them in such a terrible position, and it's so important taking control of that hill. We talk about the eye spot so much, and it's something that FG did perfectly. They were able to force their opponents in the exact fashion that they wanted to, and now we see D2 Hustlers are the one splitting up, defending across the map. I don't understand why in that 10 to 15 minute window, D2 Hustlers split up as much as they did. They really gave all the time in the world over to FG to finish off those defensive items to get prepared. And then it all really falls apart with that one dive onto Suits in the mid lane, where we're now in a position where Mandy's going to be able to farm up his BKB and a few other items before we're going to see this Aegis expire. And that is all crucial time that D2 Hustlers need to find other targets to kill, targets that are incredibly difficult to kill. This is a fantastic Nyx game. It's an incredibly hard to kill Pango game. And now we're really going to start to see really Mr. Jeans being the one to suffer above all, where these plays are going to continue to get more and more difficult. He's even going for a crit, knowing that his damage is quickly running out.
Yeah, and you take a look at the net worth, he is not quite the lowest core. That spot does belong to Sexy Fat, but he's dropping off in exactly the moment where you really can't afford for him to drop off, because his power is sort of waning just as the Queen of Pain is maybe starting to get a little bit more underneath her. As top lane, they do burn through that Aegis. Big play onto Mandy. Here comes Duster, though, looking to help. That's a very unfortunate DC. As Sexy Fat is out of it, they need him back in as he is making his way up top, and well, how is this one going to play out? You see Seuss making his way up with that haste rune, and if D2 Hustlers aren't careful, they could all try and go in for a quick secondary kill on to the sniper, but if they group up too heavily, Duster can hit him with the impale. The Sonic Wave could then come through, but I do believe Hustlers, that is their sentry, and they should have line of sight. Yeah, so they see that Duster is there. Don't think they'll group up too heavily for that impale play, but they do still want to try and get on that sniper. If they can kill him again, this fight is basically over.
Yeah, and I think just a moment of weakness coming in from Mandy. Mandy was playing so safe up until this point, but wants to get aggressive onto the tower, and then might be throwing pretty heavily here. Because you look at his courier, and there's his BKB. Unfortunately, his courier is maybe 10 seconds away from getting it delivered to him, where he is going to be back in the thick of it in really not that much time. I think if Duster can somehow get in front of Devi, then maybe he can make enough space here, because we do have that tiny combo already being unavailable to Mr. Jeans. We need another 4 seconds before that toss comes up. Problem being, there's already the Celestial Hammer placed on the ground, so he's already going to be incredibly slow. Dagger is going to be placed by Yuma in a second, as soon as he gets back into the game. Don't really know how Manny gets out of it besides that. We even see Sexy Fat, who isn't close enough to hit him with the mech. I feel like this is a dead sniper 9 times out of 10, but maybe Duster can pull off some insane impale, and then they try to get maybe the knockback coming in from the Sonic Wave to try and get Mandy out of this, but this really is a terrible situation that Mr. Jeans has put Mandy in.
You got to get the impale onto a couple. Maybe Duster can get the Carapace down. You do have King RD with the Mortimer Kisses off to the side here. I believe that is within the range. So maybe the way you save the snipers is just throw everything in. Throw the impale, throw the kisses, have the Queen of Pain with the haste rune just blink in and deploy the Sonic range at the maximum range that the Sonic Wave, the maximum range that it can hit, and just hope for the best. It's not exactly perfect in terms of whether or not it'll even work, but if you don't make those moves, I think this sniper is just about dead. So we'll see what they do, how much they're willing to commit as they do get to reconnect, and now we'll see the fight. Sniper back in. Duster going to stun up a couple, not using the impale. There's that Sonic Wave. Mandy, though, he's still dropping low. They're going to try to get him away with the cookie, but it's not enough. Mandy will fall, and now this fight gets so complicated. But Sexy Fat is coming in with the Rolling Thunder. They've got the kisses out for some damage as well, but they need to finish the kills. They do get one. Now they're in onto Yuma. If they could lock him down, that would be big. They get it. Double kill for Sooths. And now they want more. They're on to Divide. They're going to be able to bring him down. Maybe not. He's going to roll away, but that DOT should still be enough to tick him, as it's a triple kill now for Sooths. So you fail to save the sniper, but it is going to be a 3 for 2 with the Aegis basically being sacrificed, but they're still hanging out in the top lane. They control the field, and they're going to be able to potentially get this tower off the back of the fight.
And even though it is a little bit of a throw, you even see his courier is now dead, so that BKB is going to be even further away from the sniper. It is still everything being committed for getting him that first time, so that just means that the next 2 minutes, you are going to be able to farm up. You don't need to worry about that Solar Garden for another 30 seconds. You're going to sit in your jungle, happy as a clam, and there's not really any punish that's going to come out. And that was much closer than I thought it actually would have been, but it was a really fantastic silence from Divide Llama to start off that pause. Of course, you could say that is a preparation in Dota. He could have just instantly clicked it on Duster, as we already knew he was in Sentry Vision. So maybe not as impressive as a more reactive play could be, but that's the unfortunate circumstances of pauses and why they're so terrible, and I wish they didn't exist. But they had to commit the haunt, meaning that you do get Mandy able to farm up and finish a few more items, and going for the shard next. After that, having the Silver Edge queued up, both very problematic items that the Spectre needs to deal with. And Yuma, going for the Orchid build, is trying to be very obnoxious right now, and I feel like it's going to work out. It plays so well versus Sooths, who has also gone very greedy with his build, going for the Shivas first. Unfortunately, Duster is...
he's making a break for it. Yeah. And Yuma, okay, Yuma had to jump forward with that Shadow Step in order to secure the kill. So that is going to be on cooldown for a little bit. Not much of a cooldown, but they do have to step in for that one. And if you're Duster, you're okay with that. That was a smoke play out from D2 Hustlers, I believe. So you're able to pop that, sacrifice yourself, low death timer for this point in the game as well, and your cores are still farming. Mandy's just going to work in the jungle. You see the Queen of Pain finished off the Shivas a little while back, working now towards both a BKB and an Orchid. So aware of the fact that he still needs durability on Zeus, but Tavai, hello. That's okay. That's a bit of a freebie on his part as he rolls into that one, and I don't really think Zeus needs any extra help with the gold, but Tavai rolls in, gets caught out, and now 10 kills on the board for the Queen of Pain. 10, 2, and 6. So they needed the Queen of Pain to get the ball rolling early, and Zeus has definitely done that so far.
Yeah, he's playing incredibly solidly. He has a lot of farm as well for what was a very risky skill build, and one that I honestly don't think ended up paying off in the end. He is definitely recovered in a very nice way. He's level 20, 25 minutes in the game, and well,
they've got Monster mid.
Monster.
No play whatsoever. No defensive items. He tried for the Halberd at the start, but that's just not going to be enough. Monster gets picked off. King RD gets the kill, and now the tier 2 is going to be taken. So FG starting to pull away more and more here as we're moving sort of along that 25-26 minute mark. This mid-game transition has been honestly pretty good, but if you're D2 Hustlers, you have the Spectre, you've got the Tiny, you have that timing still in the back of your mind where you know you're going to have that power spike. So they're not where they want to be right now, but I don't think this is the time for them to panic. Yuma is still building up. Okay, now maybe you can panic. Yuma, wow, just overwhelmed with the damage. Thought it was just 1 or 2 at first, but the Sonic Wave is deployed. They get the kill. Now Yodomi, he's going to get caught as well. He's stunned up inside of his own base, will be finished off, and all of a sudden a high ground push materializes out of nowhere. And Zavai's going to try to hold this, but look at that. The Pango's able to get out of the initial stun. He will still fall as Mr. Jeans gets the kill, but now he's incredibly low, but they've taken down Zeus. They haven't dealt with Mandy, though. He's still dishing out the right-click damage. The Tiny is dropping low. Will he be able to get himself away? No, he will not. Mr. Jeans will fall. Divai Llama dead as well, but yeah, everybody on the side of FG who stuck around there gets sort of whittled away at as well by the Magnetize. And, well, maybe there was a reason why that high ground opportunity wasn't quite as obvious. It's because it kind of wasn't actually an opportunity. They push in, they do get quite a few kills, but every single member of FG gets taken down.
And It's very bizarre because that's something FG has been doing really well. They've been hiding their hand. They've not been allowing their opponents to know how many heroes they're bringing to those select engagements. And D2 Hustlers has also not been playing around that aggression very well. They've been getting picked off pretty consistently. But that's where you have a player like Devi put the team on his back completely there. If a Carapace goes down there after Mr. Jeans goes for the Avatos, everyone dies, you get no kills, your high ground is now exposed, you die to the sniper. But instead, the Nyx Assassin gets killed before that Carapace lands, the Magnetize ends up doing 5,000 damage, you get completely carried by Devi Llama, even buys back just to make sure him and Monster are able to kill off that sniper. And relying on a player like him, he's just doing a fantastic job this game. I think he's really doing what he needs to for his team. I think if that high ground defense goes any worse, then we are seeing that much faster schedule where you do see FG pushing onto the high ground, getting in early racks, then you play versus a deficit, and okay, they found the Nyx. Okay, they'll keep him.
That was a bit of a weird one. The Nyx Assassin got the Carapace to stun both Yuma and Mr. Jeans, and then Eulist himself. And that kind of keeps him in the fight. As soon as he touches back down, then he ends up getting finished off. So, I don't know if he truly made a, or would have made a break for it without the Eul Scepter and could have gotten away, but not entirely sure what happened there. It ends up sort of costing him his own life, but it's Duster on the Nyx Assassin. He's not really worth a crazy amount there, just trying to once again provide that distraction. Keep on creating space and buying time as Mandy is farming away in the jungle. He's got the BKB up. You see that Silver Edge being worked on, so progress is being made towards some of those items, and the sniper is still going to be dangerous, really, at all points in the game. Maybe D2 Hustlers get better at sort of getting onto him directly as this game goes on as well, but still have to be able to secure that kill and get through a lot of the defensive itemization that FG still have at their disposal.
And Devi has a full BKB, and he is owning. Even though he's got 12 deaths, he doesn't have to worry about the Nyx Assassin now. Carapace, which is arguably the most defensive, or rather the most important tool on FG's side, is now no longer going to affect him, and it just means that the Nyx Assassin has to be so careful when you actually end up going toe-to-toe versus the Earth Spirit. If you're not careful with your Eul Scepter, he's going to keep you out of the fight for such a long period of time, where this Carapace is so obnoxious for D2 Hustlers to deal with. It affects literally every single member of the team, whether or not it's the flat cannon coming from the gyro or the Celestial Hammer being placed by Monster. Everything is so disruptive coming from Duster, and a big reason why these fights have been so difficult for them. But now, FG is not going to let you wait. You actually have to fight them in the pit yet again, and I don't know if D2 Hustlers are really making any rounds to go there. There's no scan available, so they don't get the free check, so they might just give it away.
That's, well, realistically speaking, not their fault. They don't have the vision down, so can't get too rough on them for it, but that's so unfortunate. You give away Roche for free. 2 lives up on Mandy once again. This time they get the shard out there as well, as I believe it was the Queen of Pain who picked it up, and now mid, they're eyeballing a couple of opportunities here. Mr. Jean's not easily taken out, though, and now Duster has been caught, but look at that, the stun coming out. Sexy Fat rolls in. They're going to be able to lock down the first kill onto Devi. 1-for-1 trade there, but Yuma. Oh, Yuma. That is a very close bait play, but he's able to get himself out. But now Mandy, he's stuck. He needs help. BKB's active, so he's at least going to be okay for now, and they're going to be more than okay. Yuma can't TP out. Tried for it, taken down before it can be completed. Monster then goes in for the Solar Guardian, thinking that his teammate needed his help, and obviously he did, but not able to arrive in time. Monster gets picked off as well, and that is a 3-for-1 play that is very much going to favor FG, and the only hero that died there in Duster bought back, so he's right back on the front line with his teammates. They're going to push the high ground against a D2 Hustlers lineup whose buybacks are extremely limited. There is 1 on the gyro and 1 on Monster. And honestly, even if he buys back right now, I don't think it really matters. Devi's not there to initiate, and Yuma's not there with the Haunt or the Shadow Step to really get into the back line. So they're just going to have to sit here and let this one go. That's the entire middle lane of racks that'll be taken.
And I think maybe at this stage of the game, Hustlers just have to say, okay, we're playing 2 down. They could buy back whenever there's 20 seconds on the Spectre's timer, but I can't imagine they're going to look for a fight before that. If they overextend, it's definitely a risk, but they're just keeping Mr. Jeans unable to get on this backline. As long as his blink is disabled, they know that he's unable to do anything, and I think this is just a 2 and out. It might just even be a 3 and out, and I think, yeah, they're going to back up now. They're not going to give him the play. They aren't even aware of Monster's buyback, but oh, they're looking.
Mr. Jeans, though, gets stunned up. Sexy Fat rolls in. That's already a half HP. Tiny, he's getting knocked back by the headshot, and he's dead. Mr. Jeans goes down, and all of a sudden, Yuma, you have no backup, no BKB. He's already used the Manta. He is stuck in this fight. TP canceled, and he is dead. Mandy gets the snipe down. Now they're going to really try to clean up the rest of the lineup. Mandy is dropping, but honestly, his death is going to be okay here. His teammates are in a position to really handle the rest of the engagement as Monster. That TP is not completing at all, as he is going to get knocked out of it by the Yule Scepter. And they'll take him down as well, so if you're D2 Hustlers, cool. You forced the fight, you've killed off the sniper, but that is really all that they get, and now, with so many losses on their own side, it's just a quick walk back into the base. They'll take that top lane. They can't get bot just yet, though. You see Devi already going down there to protect that tier 2 tower, so the Mega Creeps are not an option at the moment for FG, but they have just taken really definitive control of this game. D2 Hustlers need to take a step back and really reassess. They cannot sacrifice 4/5 of their lineup to go onto the sniper.
Yeah, and it's honestly some terrible decision-making coming out from them. Monster had 10 seconds left on his respawn, so you don't want to buy back with 10 seconds left on your respawn, and
oh no,
looks like Udomi is just going to die for, yeah, not very much. And
they see Devi.
Really awkward spot.
Tries to roll, but rolls directly into Seuss. There's going to be that BKB coming out, though. Yuma now jumping forward. That forces the BKB. So the Queen of Pain able to jump away, but with Devi rolling forward, they might want to keep this going, but okay, there we go. They're going to use the Shadow Step to get in. Actually, maybe the Haunt being used there instead as you... Can they actually catch up right now? The Queen of Pain is just continuing to blink away. Turns around for that Sonic Wave. And this is where the turn happens. Sexy Fat is there. King RD is into the fight as well. Devi taken down. Yuma actually forced to activate the Manta. So now there's no more defensive itemization here. But Mr. Jeans is coming in. Monster's dropping the Solar Guardian as well. So they are trying to stay alive. But the Sniper going after the kill will be able to get it. Yuma will fall. And this is too broken up. Mr. Jeans has no backup. He's caught out over to the east. They'll finish him off. And now Monster is completely alone in this fight. He'll look for the TP out. And this time, at least, he's able to get away, but... I mean, at least it wasn't the sniper this time, but... They can't keep doing this.
You use everything, though. Yeah. You use everything to not get onto the sniper. You try to get suits, and I think Devi makes the call that I can get the Queen of Pain, but he's just one stone short before he's able to get that silence. That's why they go so deep, and they go for such a crazy initiation, but... You've thrown the game. I actually don't think they can win now, but now Devi, okay, he's going for it, but he's got 2 stones.
Hero plays, maybe. He gets the magnetized down, but yeah, he doesn't have enough to keep it going. Good attempts, but not going to be enough. Mandy gets the kill, and now the rest of the lineup is really just facing the abyss. They needed a miracle. They don't get it. Udomi goes down, and there's the GG. They will finally concede defeat, and FG... After a grueling loss in Game 1, over an hour long, they come back here in Game 2 with a lineup that you and I had some questions about, but they managed to show us what this is capable of.
I also feel like there has to be some amount of misplaying coming in from D2 Hustlers. I know that this lineup is not meant to do what it actually ended up doing. I feel like there was some pretty big plays from Mr. Jeans delaying his blink more than it needed to, as well as them not really ever playing the lineup that it felt like FG were able to play in the previous game. Where D2 Hustlers really started to struggle in that previous game was when FG decided to bring everyone. They brought the full 5-man. They have Spectre and Dawnbreaker. Again, they have the exact mirror matchup, except they're playing versus a Nyx Assassin this time, which turned out to be enough for FG. I think there were many opportunities in this game for D2 Hustlers to take a step back, reassess their strength, really play around their timings, but instead they kept on trying to push for kills that they couldn't get. They really put themselves in some awful positions for really no reason. And I'm not trying to take away from what FG were able to do here. I just think that D2 Hustlers, through what their lineup was meant to do, and it's not because they don't understand what they can do, they just baited themselves into fight after fight where FG never felt like they were running out of resources. It felt like they were always able to take the engagements, and sure, you're losing your sniper every few minutes because you're playing versus a Spectre, but you eventually run out of gas and you kind of throw the game away with those overextensions. I felt like there are so many times where D2 Hustlers are chasing one FG hero, then 20 seconds later, after you don't get the kill, there are 5 FG heroes on front of you, and then you get killed. You get cleaned up. It just felt like they were throwing way too many opportunities away from them. I don't think they were playing the way that they wanted to. It felt like every single time they were in a position to find and capitalize on those kills, they were immediately punished by FG bringing more people, which is what D2 Hustlers lineup is meant to do. D2 Hustlers are the ones that bring 5 people and they catch 2 heroes off guard, but they never were able to do that past the 15-minute mark. I feel like there was some breakdown in communication. There was something going wrong there.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, D2 Hustlers take the bait, right? And if they don't, things go quite a bit better. But if you're FG, whether it was intentional or not, and I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt and say that it was intentional, they lay that bait out there and their opponents can't resist. As you mentioned so many times, especially in that last fight in particular, Yuma jumps in, but there's no one there, so he needs help. Monster jumps in. By the time he gets there, Yuma's dead. Mr. Jeans comes in, but then he splits the fight off in a different direction. So they just get so pulled apart, stretched out, just they lose their cohesion, ET, really, as you were sort of alluding to. And once you've lost cohesion with this particular lineup, I'm not really sure what else you can do. They just get picked apart piece by piece. So FG maybe didn't have that all planned out from the very start, but once they recognized the opportunities, there was no stopping them.
And that was even with FG making a crazy throw on the opposing team's high ground. And it just doesn't matter because D2 Hustlers find an even bigger throw. I'm just really surprised a team that's been as stable as D2 Hustlers have been played such a sloppy game of Dota, even with Devi having what I think is a pretty good performance on his Earth Spirit, something he is continuously able to put out whenever he ends up on that hero. It just felt like some really key decision-making issues, especially showcased in the top lane, where you lose the melee racks, you chase out when you don't have... It's a 4v5. It's literally a 4v5 chasing out, and then you allow your opponents to get the reset. Sure, you lose the sniper, but you use everything to kill the sniper. You can't take the fight after the fact, and then your opponents, okay, they don't have a sniper. They can't end the game, but they take everything else. It just is a really big lapse in judgment that doesn't really make a whole lot of sense for me.
Yeah. Questionable calls, maybe some hangover after the hour-long game or match in game 1. Who really knows? But yeah, D2 Hustlers were not 100% for that second game, and FG were able to take advantage of it. So FG pull out the 1-1 split in this series, and now they've got a chance to put further points on the board as they're going to be in action in our next series as well. However, they are taking on pretty much the first place team. They're going to be going up against Team who, well, are a lot less likely to make some of the misplays that D2 Hustlers did. Of course, we would have said D2 Hustlers weren't likely to make those mistakes prior to this match, but you never know. The point remains, though, it will be FG versus Team as our next matchup. We are going to be giving FG a bit of a break, though, as they're playing back-to-back best of twos. So we will be hopping into a bit of a break in between those series. Before we go, though, we do have a word from our sponsor. Thanks to our sponsor, N1Bet. You can deposit using digital wallets and crypto and bet on Pro Series 8 matches with N1Bet. You can also go to bts.gg/N1Bet and use code BTSDota to get yourself an exclusive bonus offer without having to make a wager. So thank you very much, to N1Bet for sponsoring this Pro Series. And we will now be preparing for that third best of 2 of the day. Team versus FG coming your way in just a little bit.